Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond Reality. I'm SOLRETA and it is the 26th of September. So I'm so grateful to be here for Beyond Mystic. There is so much information that has been coming through this week. It's been blowing my mind, as well as recovering from jet lag at the same time. But just so many synchronicities and so many beautiful things happening with clients. Spirit really is like weaving and working and giving us so many answers and so many truths and so many connections at the moment. I'm just daily having my mind blown with synchronicities and also with different things that I'll get words or receive messages or get told specific phrases. And then when you add all the cards together and you connect all the dots with what the beings are saying, and also like getting told to research or to go get books out, and then you open it to the page that they tell you, and everything is interconnected. So it's been a huge week in terms of that kind of truth and reality starting to permeate into our consciousness. Also noticing like dream worlds and things too. We're still seeing like interconnected timelines and things, but we'll get into it in just a moment. So let me just share with you just a reminder to please jump on over, like, share, and subscribe with Beyond Mystic. We love you all being part of this community. We have so many amazing talents on this channel and so many incredible shows that are coming up and different different shows that are for different taste. So we have the beautiful Elena coming up very shortly with her full moon meditation. Oh, this one. So for the Aries full moon, which is coming up very shortly, we're going to have the singing bowl meditation, and we're also going to have Janine with Elena, and it's going to be about self-love, letting go of self-sabotage. So this is a really, really important one, especially, and I'm just hearing like little pings in my ear, especially leading up to the double eclipse that we're going to experience with the two moons next month. So I feel it's good to get really clear, to kind of scale back, really reassess what it is that you're supposed to be doing, what it is that you're supposed to be having as your life, and really kind of clearing and purging things out. So super important with this one. Please register over on beyondmystic.academy. And yeah, I'm sure you guys will really love this one. I know I'm going to be doing this one too. I might have a little bit of a time zone difference. I might not be awake just yet, but I will enjoy that one on the replay. So I also wanted to remind you guys as well, for anyone wanting to book readings at the moment, go on over to masonjupiter.com. You can book either a starseed reading with me. Now, because I have recovered from jet lag a little bit earlier than I thought, I've opened up just a couple of spots for this week. So if you're seeing this and it's live, you might still have the chance to catch just a couple of the spots that I have left for this week. This is quite a rare thing. It's just because I've opened up extra time because I thought I would be much tighter than what I am. So I also have a mystical oracle reading too. Just make sure that when you are booking your next reading, if you want to save 10%, use Beyond Mystic, but type it in all caps. So let's get on into the reading that we have for this week. And I also want to share with you guys just a little bit about what's also been happening. So I had with two clients. Second one was today. 2 clients this week. Spirit has been dropping little kind of gems or little like downloads into the sessions. So twice today, I had the word atmic come up. So once was in a session with a client. One was also on a Magenta Pixie video that I clicked on, and she was also talking about the atmic plane too, very quickly. So this is so that today was 2 times. And then it was a few days ago that I also had with a client where Spirit was talking about meditating and raising consciousness to the atmic plane, which they were showing me kind of like a triangle, like a hierarchy. And I saw the Godhead at the top, and then I saw like Buddhic plane and atmic plane. And it was so funny because we Googled live, I think it was in the session, and then brought up the picture that Spirit was also talking about. So really interesting sometimes when you receive downloads or messages. It's really interesting when you go to find that, the information is able to be backed up, whether it's through picture or whether it's through other information through books or Google, things like that. So I encourage you guys, if you're getting messages, please go and research and look more into where you hear code names or you hear words or you hear Spirit trying to give you synchronicities or messages, because while it might not make sense to the human mind, it might make sense when you type it in or connect or you speak to a friend, or there's synchronicity that way too. So anyway, I encourage those of you that are kind of like the good meditators and that are, working within the spiritual realms and dimension, we do see where there's an alignment, is what Spirit was showing me, and where we can kind of go up through this path and up into these higher realms. It's almost like there's been a shifting in the dimensions, and things that were previously closed off or only allowing just a small few, we're seeing the gate start to broaden and open again. So the spiritual dimensions are opening up. Now, this is also not something that is sensed with the physical senses. This is something that's done with our spiritual senses. So I also got told from Spirit to go and get a book off my bookshelf, which is called The Occult of Esoteric, or The Outline of Esoteric Science by Rudolf Steiner. So a lot of the time when I am doing these weekly reads, we will have different themes that come up for different clients or through the collective consciousness for the week. This one has a lot of charge. I feel Spirit's energy and spiritual forces very strongly behind this, guiding us. And what they were talking about this week too was also to do with the epoch of time that we're living in right now. So I'm just checking in what they would like me to go over first. Okay, so reading over some of the pages that Spirit got me to go to, I've just kind of highlighted and written a few notes. So what they were talking about is what is documented in our spiritual texts and books and information that we see throughout history, whether it's like in biblical times or like in the Vedic books and things of that sort of spiritual or Buddhic nature, are more kind of like a recollection. So it's more what was happening on a spiritual level described through the spiritual senses. Now, this is important because what has been showing up this week is directly having an experiential experience with these kind of spiritual higher forces and higher dimensions. So for those that want to experience it firsthand, you can meditate on these different levels at the moment, whether it's on the Atmic or the Buddhic level, or even on the Mondadic level as well. So we are at a time when our nonsensical spiritual senses are now opening and reconnecting. So this is where I encourage you to look into what we would call like ESP or extrasensory perception, or kind of those heightened spiritual faculties, whether it's like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairgustance, or any of the other clairs, and really tap into the spiritual information that's permeating into our, I guess, physical world or into our location. So we're also accessing higher planes and dimensions, spiritual frequencies, beings, and information. So all of these things are really, really strong for this week. So let me also see what we have. So the page that Spirit got me to go to, for those of you that are reading at home or have this book at home, it was page 391. And again, this is The Outline of Esoteric Science by Rudolf Steiner. So, also I just want to give a quick kind of like preset for listening to this. So this is also talking about some of us have reincarnated back from the Atlantean times. We're here again now. So some of us have spiritual senses and things that we developed and worked hard to obtain, or to kind of get to a level of initiate in these Atlantean times and in these other sort of spiritual epochs, whether it be Lemuria or Egypt. So this is what it's talking about. So for those of you watching, I know that there's a lot of my clients that have had Atlantean lifetimes, Lemurian lifetimes. So you might find this is specifically speaking to you. But it says, when the 7th cultural period has run its course. Oh, I should also say, when I opened this page, I heard Spirit say 2020 to 2025. So souls, this is in regards to souls leaving the earth as well. So when the 7th cultural period has run its course, the earth will be struck by an upheaval comparable to the one that looks like the place between the Atlantean and post-Atlantean ages. After this, evolution will continue to under transformed earthly circumstances through 7 more time periods. On a higher level, the human souls incarnating then will experience the same fellowship with the higher world that the Atlanteans experienced on the lower world. So that's really important. So on the higher level, the human souls incarnating then will experience the same fellowship with the higher world that the Atlanteans experienced on the lower world. So that's something to even ponder or meditate upon too, that we might be stepping into even a more heightened spiritual connection compared to what we had in the Atlantean nature. We know that in the Atlantean nature is when technology went wrong and things too. So we're also being invited to tap more into the spiritual realms and spiritual technology. So, however, only human beings embodying souls that have become all they could be under the influence of the Greco-Latin cultural period and the subsequent 5th, 6th, and 7th period of post-Atlantean evolution will be able to cope with these reconfigured earthly circumstances. The inner nature of these souls will correspond what the earth has then become. So this is talking about the earth taking that shift, or where we perhaps hear like Dolores Cannon or other people talk about, an upgrade or a separation between the two worlds. So other souls will have to remain behind at this stage, although earlier they could still have chosen to create the prerequisites for participation in it. The souls mature enough to face the conditions that they will exist up to the next great upheaval will be the ones succeeded in imbuing sensible or super sensible knowledge with their own forces of intellect and feeling of transition from the 5th to the 6th post-Atlantean period. So the 5th and 6th periods are the decisive ones, so to speak. The 7th period, although the souls who have achieved the goal of a 6th will come into development accordingly. The changed circumstances of their surroundings will provide them with little opportunity for others to make up for lost time. The next opportunity will present itself only in the distant future. This is how evolution is proceeding from one age to the next. Supersensible cognition observes not only the future changes involving the earth alone and the interaction with the neighboring heavenly bodies. That's what I'm seeing come down really, really strongly this week, more so than other times. There's definitely a kind of harmonious connection that's coming in with the spiritual bodies and also with the planetary bodies too. So there's so much more that it talks about in this book, and talking about like the human kingdom and the plant kingdom, which I have had information over the last couple of weeks about the plant kingdom coming back into communication with us and the animals, which I've definitely seen strongly over this year with the animals. But yeah, the plant kingdom is also reaching out and speaking to us. So let's have a look into what the cards have to say. And yeah, I do feel a spiritual urgency with that message, talking about the post-Atlantean timelines and things. And I do feel that a lot of us are here to hold the energy and configuration for the grid going forth into this new age, which will be shifting from more intellect into more of like spiritual knowledge and spiritual sensible knowing is another way to describe it. So let's have a look into the energies for the week. I also feel like this is an intense period of trusting self. So a lot of you are learning how to let go of the intellect. A lot of you are learning how to tap into these higher spiritual senses and to really kind of, I guess, release the need to hold things on an intellectual level. So let's just fill into these 5 cards that we have and just see what energies. This is interesting. The music that starts to come in from spirit, I can recognize the music or the song or the movie that I've heard this in, and I'm hearing the words breakaway. The funny thing is the vision that I'm getting, and it's coming from Archangel Michael, because he will commonly use movies or songs or different things to communicate to us. I'm hearing the song Breakaway, and I've seen it in the Bill and Ted's movie back in, I think it was the 90s as a kid, but I'm just hearing like 80s kind of tunes slapping, and I'm just hearing like breakaway. So I feel that we're in the beginning of the breakaway. And what I mean by this is we're starting to see the oscillation between the two versions of Earth. I actually feel like this is the period that we've talked about, like with the Earth shifting. So let's flip over the cards and see what we have. And this is very interesting. 2 aces and a card of transformation. I'm really excited. This is like goosebump stuff here. So please comment if this is resonating and if you've had signs and synchronicities. And I just want to say thank you to those that are also jumping on over to Rumble. We love seeing you guys on Rumble and on YouTube. We just really appreciate So yeah, first card, Ace of Wands. So we're seeing this new energy start to be handed down to humans, and especially to those that are working on spiritual nature. So with this, we also have the Queen of Swords. This is about liberation and freedom. So I encourage you guys to not only think from the intellectual mind, but to allow that connection to the higher spiritual mind, which is more connecting into higher consciousness, not just operating off individual ego consciousness. This is more operating from that higher spiritual awareness, and that collective consciousness is also receiving downloads and messages. So this also initiates change on an emotional heart level. We have the beautiful Ace of Cups. It's ushering a brand new beginning for us. This is the change and the shift that we've been hoping for. And whilst things might not be finished off on a human ego or a human physical level, because we've not got discards here. This is talking about a spiritual and emotional transformation that we're going through, and a shifting of our reality and the dimensions around us. So I've had a few people this week talking about seeing or sensing spirit that maybe don't perhaps normally have that experience. We also have the Queen of Cups. And with this, we see that she's holding a high spiritual luminary energy that's coming out of the wisdom of her heart and the shell and the candelabra. She also brings this beautiful lotus medicine to the world to reflect into the lower realities or lower dimensions. So please make contact with that higher part of yourself. Tap into these higher realities, because you are causing the shift. You guys are causing this change on a positive level. We see here the card of the Aeon, and this little symbol down here in Hebrew is called Shin. This represents the breaking down of our old reality. It represents that our consciousness is what's driving and anchoring these higher energies and frequencies to shift us into the new reality. So super important at the moment to, what's the word they're giving me? I'm seeing it's like categorizing or ticking things off. And they're saying the word collate, but it's not just collate. It's like we're curating things that we wish to take with us to the higher realms or through to this new earth change. So really thinking about, what would this feel like for me, these higher dimensional states? And then we're going to fire and solidify that into our reality. So we see these babies as evolution, going from like more solid density into kind of like a finer, higher vibration. We also see with this letting go of the old. So letting go of other people's perceptions, letting go of other perceptions of our reality. For me, this is the Medusa energy. So she originally was pure. She originally was even more beautiful than Aphrodite, yet people got jealous and turned her into the Medusa head that we know. So this is about throwing off other people's perceptions and things, of you really making that contact with the creator consciousness. So we have Nut, the mother sky goddess, and we have Horus here, who governs our psychic senses. So let's get some clarifiers. Really exciting, beautiful energy coming in. It's funny. I feel sort of like a little bit more of kind of like a hyper like lifted energetic state come in as we're talking about this too. So we've got 4 cards. We're going to flip these over straight away. Interesting. We see things trying to sideswipe or distract us from the plan. 5 of Swords. This is an energy of defeat. So I would say that any distractions that are happening this week, to sort of ignore, perhaps sort of push it back, like, if that's true, then I'll listen to it later, because we are heading in a whole new direction. The Chariot has taken off, and we're seeing 6 of Discs, which is Taurus and Moon energy. It's also called a card of success. So with the 6, we're starting to see where we're budging, and we're starting to receive things, not just of a physical nature to let us know that we're shifted, like synchronicities and things. We're starting to remember who we are. We're starting to remember that we come from the stars, that we have this beautiful wisdom where we don't have to have an intellectual understanding. We can have a direct spiritual connection. So we're really excited. Please drop comments or come back to this later in the week if you've had any strange dreams, synchronicities, or any other kind of like spiritual magical things happening. So before we close with a final card, I just want to take us back to to remind you guys that if you do want to book a one-on-one session, that I do have just a couple of appointments left for this week. So please jump on over to Maison Jupiter and click either on a starseed reading where we look into your starseed origins and find out more about your soul mission, where you're from, having a look into your various different galactic connections. Or I have the mystical oracle reading where you get to really tap in and access information in this oracle session. So I love feeling into this and answering questions from the mystic level. So yeah, 10% discount code is Beyond Mystic. So please make sure to use that. We also have Beyond Mystic's YouTube channel as well as the Rumble channel too. So please remember to share the love. We love you guys being part of this community. So please like, share, and subscribe. And we can see there's a few interesting episodes with the Divine Feminine Oracles and Penny Kelly coming up and Lena. And this is also a reminder to sign up for Janine and Elena's full moon meditation. So it's going to be Aries, which will be very interesting, letting go of self-love tapping into self-love, letting go of self-sabotage. So let's pick a card for the week. And we're just going into, this is so funny. Okay, so I went to pick up my Syrian Star card deck, and the card that was stuck is the card of intuition. This is super important. Sorry, imagination. Imagination is kind of the same muscle as intuition. So super important to look into imagination this week. And I'll just read this to you. So be childlike, reignite your creativity, imagination through art and play and writing. The other card that we have is light body activation. So definitely tap in visually, connect to these higher realms that we were talking about. There's different light codes and things to receive. I'm just going to hold this up because I've drawn some light language symbols on this. And we see the gold and pink, these higher spiritual frequencies. So let the light codes of this card resonate and activate your higher energy centers and light body. So thank you so much for joining me today. I love you all very much, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.